Okay, grab something to write with and copy down notes as you follow along. We're doing 3.5 Day 1, Writing Equations of Lines. Alright, there are a couple forms of equations of lines. There is slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, where m equals slope and b equals the y-intercept. The y-intercept being the point on the y-axis 0b. That's the point where the line crosses the y-axis. The other form is point-slope form, and that is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where again m equals slope, and x1 and y1 are a given point. So let's look at example number 1. It asks us to write an equation of the line that passes through negative 2, 5 and 1, 2. So we're going to go ahead and label these x1 and y1 as our first point, x2 and y2 for our second point. The first thing we're going to need to do is find the slope, because our end goal is to get it into slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So we know some points, but we don't know the slope yet. So if you remember, the slope-intercept form is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We can plug in y2, which is 2, minus y1, which is 5, so 2 minus 5, over x2, which is 1, minus x1, which is negative 2. So we get that double negative, it'll become a positive. So 1 plus 2 on the bottom will give us 3. And 2 minus 5 on top gives us negative 3 for negative 1. So negative 1 is our slope. That will go in for m. Now we need to use point-slope form to eventually get it to y-intercept form, or slope-intercept form. So remember, our point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we can plug in what we know. We have an x1 and y1 up here, and we now know our slope, which is m. So we plug in 5 for y1. We plugged in negative 2 for x1, and since we had the double negative, it became plus 2. And we plugged in negative 1 for m, which is our slope. Our next step, we need to take the negative 1 and distribute into the parentheses. So we multiply negative 1 times x and negative 1 times positive 2. That'll give us, on the right side of the equal sign, negative 1x minus 2. And on the left side, we still have y minus 5. We want to get y by itself, because in slope-intercept form, it is y equals. So since we have a minus 5, to get it to the other side, we need to do the opposite operation. So we add 5 to both sides. And remember, the 5 cannot be added to that x. So it's only added to the like term, the only other single number, which is negative 2. So we have negative 2 plus 5, that gives us 3. So we have y equals negative 1x plus 3. That's our slope-intercept form. That's our answer. Example number 2. Write an equation of the line with the given slope and y-intercept. So they give us the slope, m equals negative 5, and they give us the y-intercept. Remember, y-intercept is b. b equals 10. So if our end goal is to get into slope-intercept form, we can take our negative 5, our m, plug it in for m. So we have y equals negative 5x. And take our 10 and plug it in for b. So we have plus 10. And that's all we need for our slope-intercept form. Now, one thing you might see, and it could be kind of a little tricky question, if they give you the slope, negative 5, m equals negative 5, and then instead of saying b equals 10, they gave you the point 0, 10, recognize anytime x is 0, it's telling you the y-intercept. That is the point of the y-intercept anytime x is 0. So if it was 0, 10, that tells me the y-intercept is 10, and I can plug that right in. Example number 3. Now this is an example where like maybe you might see that 0, 10 instead of this negative 4, 2, they said 0, 10. That would just be a giveaway. So example number 3 says write an equation of the line that passes through negative 4, 2, so we're going to call that x1, y1, and has a slope of m equals negative 3. Remember, we're getting it to our slope-intercept form of y equals mx plus b. First, we need to use point-slope form because we know a point and we know the slope. So our point-slope form was y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we take y1, which was 2, plug it in here, so we have y minus 2. Our slope, m, is negative 3, so we plug in negative 3 for m. And then our x1 was negative 4. We plug that in here, and we have x minus negative 4, so that becomes a positive because we have that double negative. Then our next step is to take our slope, negative 3, and distribute it inside the parentheses. So we take negative 3 times x and negative 3 times 4. When we do that, we get y minus 2 equals negative 3x minus 12. And the last step, we want to get y by itself, so we need to do the opposite operation. We have minus 2, so we need to add 2 to both sides. The 2's cancel out over here on the left. And then we have negative 12 plus 2, which is negative 10. So our final answer there in slope-intercept form is y equals negative 3x minus 10. All right, number 4 is blank because you're going to work this out on your own. And then I'm going to go back through and talk you through and see if you got the right answer at the end. So go ahead and pause the video and work this out on your own. All right, hopefully you took the time to work that out. Now I will talk you through the problem. It says, write an equation of a line that passes through the point negative 10, 8 with a slope of m equals 1/2. All right, so we have a point and we have the slope. So we're going to use point-slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We can plug in our y1, which is 8. That will give us y minus 8. We can plug in our 1/2 for m. So that gives us y minus 8 equals 1/2, and then open parentheses x plus 10 close parentheses. When we plug in negative 10 for x1, we have a double negative, so we need to change the sign. So we have y minus 8 equals 1/2 times x plus 10. The 1/2 needs to be distributed inside the parentheses. So we'll have, once we do that, we have y minus 8 equals 1/2 x plus 5. Get the plus 5 from 1/2 times 10. Last, we need to get y by itself. So we still have that minus 8 after the y. We need to move that to the other side. To do that, we have to add 8 to both sides. So in the end, we have y equals 1/2 x plus 13. Hopefully that's the answer you were able to get. Remember, if you have any questions, email me or join me in any of the available Google Meet times between 2 and 4. Have a great day.